Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work, cause my boss is a jerk, and I'm not even that paid. I need a change in my life, cause I don't feel alive, and there's nothing that makes me happy. Hold my beer for a minute, I'm about to quit my job, cash in for a ticket. I'm going on a trip and I don't plan to visit. I'm gonna stay there till I feel like I'm winning, and this is just the beginning. I need a big change, help me feel like living. I need a big swing, home runs I'm hitting, and I'll never look back, moving on till I get it all. And we all got dreams, we all want things, but what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be? And do you believe you can do anything? But what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be?
Hello everyone and welcome to another Avengers video. This time we're doing another easy farm video since everyone seemed to love the Bucky one. And the man of the day is none other than Ironman, but since I wanted to spice things up a bit, I decided to go on the laser route rather than the rocket one, hence the Padawan name of the build. But do not fret, if you like rockets any better, I also got a really good targeted buff piece with rockets ready for you to pick up from the offline vendor. When it comes to stats, this is a melee build, but Ironman actually relies on precision for lasers, even when using the heavy attacks, so our main goals will be Valor and Precision. As for the first slot, we definitely want the Rampant resistance perk, because it will keep our heroics up forever, pretty much on its own, and on top of that we will complement it with a heavyweight perk, in this case Spark, as the laser combo finishers actually give you a really easy way to trigger it. For the one I am using, just jump to the offline vendor and hit the Substation 0 on the 1st of March of 2030 and you will get it. For the range slot, we are going to be running Proficient buff, as it's really easy to trigger with lasers, but targeted will also do the trick. Since we're using heavy attacks, the status is not really that important because we have Plasma nature by default and we will get free battery of the shock from our support attack. To get this exact piece, just hit the anthill on the 18th of November of 2030. And if you like rockets instead, be sure to get this targeted buff pin piece, available also in the anthill, on the 25th of April of 2030. The slot 3 is just a stat stick, but it does work wonders. And in certain cases, a time counter will get us a spark trigger, letting us cycle through support attacks far quicker. To get this, you will need to jump into the offline vendor again, but setting the time zone to London and the time to 11:05 AM. Then head to the anthill and check the gear items, not the specialty ones, because you will see this beauty with Valor, Precision and Proficiency. The slot 4 is the only piece you will need to farm for in this build, but it's not too difficult. Just hit the daily priority mission every day until you can get a slot 4 with both Valor and Precision. This piece will send your crit damage through the roof and also grant you a second arc overload, which will make you never run out of overcharge. You can also try and hand this using the daily flashback missions instead, and maybe replace the second charge with a nice Berserker perk, but this will take you a while longer to farm, so as a starting point I recommend the exotic version. Finally, the ISOs are nice and easy. We want 2 triple precision ISOs with heavyweight breaker for that final laser combo attack, and I found a version that also has support assistance. Just hit the Substation 0 while offline, on the 2nd of April of 2026, and you will be able to grab this marvel from Sydney Levin. And for the major artifact, as it's already pretty much tradition, just use the Norn Stone of Lethal Will, so we can keep up the damage buff for as long as we need. Skills are a really important part of this build, especially for heroics. On the Arc Overload, we want to extend the duration by 3 seconds, and this pretty much forces us to use Arc Jolt on the right hand side, which will pick up any fallen allies on activation. For our Unibeam, we need to pick up the Long Ray spec, since it triggers a time extension on the Overcharge status, letting us go infinite, as I will show in a clip later. And for the other spec, I recommend going for the Heroic Corpse on kills, due to the huge synergy it has with Rampant resistance. For the Hulkbuster, this doesn't really make a difference, so go for whatever you prefer on the left, but keep in mind that we get way more value out of reducing the cost of attacks, rather than extending the total Hulkbuster duration. For the combat side of Mastery, we actually want to boost combo finishers, since we are going to be using the heavy combo for all bosses. Then Heroic Corpse on takedown is a no-brainer, and we also want to boost our range damage by 15%. Since we are running lasers, all 3 range specs should go towards supporting them, but if you're using any other weapon, feel free to change that up. For the intrinsic area, we want to get the extra supercharge energy, and again, we really want to go for the specialization that extends our overcharge, so we can go infinite with it. Finally, for these 3, we will go for the increased heroic charge rate while overcharged, even though it means giving up on a bit of damage. The utility tree is based on taste, but I like reducing the cost of our energy shield as well as making it regenerate intrinsic, although extra crit chance is a great option there too. And finally, be sure to pick up air superiority, since it boosts damage while both flying and hovering. Before we go into combat mode, let me explain the infinite overcharge bit. With the skills we have selected, combined with the Rampant Assistant perk, we can basically cycle through our Unibeam attacks while Arc Overload recharges, allowing us to be constantly in overcharge mode, so no need to worry about intrinsic at all. Long story short, with this setup, every Unibeam activation while overcharge will add 10 seconds to the countdown, and if we only lightly tap the Assault Heroic button rather than holding it, we will spend a really small part of the Heroic bar. This means that we can trigger it again within those 10 seconds we just added. So with a bit of practice, we can keep going like this pretty much forever. It will take some time getting used to the sequence, but I guarantee that this will completely change the way you play Ironman. And if you throw some sparks or orbs into the mix, you can easily go past a minute of overcharge countdown. And with this, we're done with the build, but I wanted to give you some tricks around sequencing and how to play this build. If you learn the tricks, you will be more than ready for OLTs and Raids. As I said before, laser heavy attacks do plasma damage by default, so you will always battery on enemies affected by shock or any other cold status. This means we can use our Arc Overload to trigger easy battery on bosses. Power attacks will trigger a damage buff, even if they're not aimed, so holding triangle is going to be thrown into the mix quite often, but in the end, aiming the laser is still the fastest way to get damage buff up. The combo finisher are our hardest hitting attack, but that means you might need to get close and personal with enemies in order to really dent men. Try and learn the patterns for both ground and hovering versions of the heavy attacks. And also keep in mind that hovering triggers air superiority, but also makes it a bit more difficult for enemies to hit you, so be sure to leverage it as often as possible. Finally, we are not running any healing on this build, but that's only because we don't need to. Getting into the Hulkbuster will always get all of your health back up, and you can exit early by tapping the support heroic button, keeping most of your heroic bar up so you can heal again really soon. Be sure to call Veronica to the rescue anytime the enemies get you in a tough spot. And that's it for today's build. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and be sure to drop me a follow and like if you want more content like this. And of course, remember to look me up on Twitter if you're going to get these sweet offline pieces before anyone else. Thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of the Command Crawler fight.